folks, and welcome to the Snowies Camping Show. You are here with Ben and Lauren as usual, and today we have a very special guest. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to your podcast or whether or not you're watching us on YouTube. And we also have the Snowies Camping Show, our Snowies Camping Show Facebook group. Is that what that is? What we're called? That is
what it's called.
So you can jump on there and join in the conversations in the chats, give us feedback. You know,
start your own
topic, whatever you like. It's in there.
Yep.
So today I'm very excited.
You are
to be speaking to Suze from Muk Mat. How are you going, Suze?
Hi guys, great to see you both.
It's looking very sunny where you are today.
Yeah, most of the time. I wouldn't say it's been a sunny year. I'm on the Gold Coast, so it's usually pristine, but, you know, we've had our fair share of rain, but today's a good one.
It is grey and drizzly here today. Nothing like what we would expect in November.
No, not at all. I think someone had one of my sister's friends had a wedding on Saturday, and you would expect a mid-November wedding, perfect weather. No, completely washed out, crazy storms. Crazy.
Despite our best efforts on this recording, we've got a slight delay and some crackly lines in the phones, I think because of the weather here in Adelaide probably.
Maybe.
So we'll persevere and hopefully we can understand each other talking. But welcome to the show, Suze.
Thanks again, guys.
So you guys Muk Mat. So it's a piece of grass, realistically, right? So let's talk about the origin story here because you lead the way with this one.
Okay, so the origin, it's all about sand in the car, the tent, the sleeping bag. Nobody loves it. So that's the origin of, we've got two boys. We all surf, as I said, we're on the Gold Coast. So sand, as the boys began to get older, became more and more of an issue for me. So, you know, we were trying all sorts of things after a surf to get sand off our feet, brushing pan, buckets. And I had an off-cut piece of turf that I found was really good for getting sand off your feet. So I cut it to shape and kept it in the back of the car. So when we got out to surf, I'd roll it out in the car park. We'd stand on it to get out of our wetsuit so you're not stomping your wetsuit back into the gritty bitumen, and wipe your feet, put your thongs on, and it was just great. And I think probably over a period of about 6 months, the number of people that would stop and look at it and try it and say, that's such a good idea, it works. And it became such a repeat comment from people that I said to my husband, I feel like I've got to do something with this because we're not dealing with sand in the car. So that was the light bulb moment. I did quite a bit of research. There was nothing around like it in Australia. So, that's when I went on the mission to find someone locally to produce them for me.
And how long ago was that, do you reckon?
That was nearly from kind of the first idea. It was 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And was there – oh, no, sorry, you go, Benji.
I was going to say you must have the comment, like Lauren said before, a piece of grass. You must have heard that over and over. Is that something you're just sick of hearing, or do you have some sort of like positive spin on anyone who says that to you?
Oh, look, I'm not really sick of hearing. Yes, it is a piece of grass, but I always say it's like anything. You have levels of quality with anything. So when I first started investigating, I realised there are so many variations in quality of synthetic or artificial turf. So we, making sure it was made from recycled materials was a big priority, but also it had to work. So I think I probably tried 30 different samples that they had to feel nice. They had to look good, and they also had to work. So the turf we use is top quality, and that's the difference. That yes, you can from a hardware store get a piece of turf, but the quality's not there. And the difference, ours isn't just a mat. We as I said, we use the high quality turf. We bevel the edges, we bind them, we add the Velcro straps so they're, easy to travel with as well. So we've turned, I guess, a very simple concept into, a purpose-built mat, whether it be for surfing, camping, fishing, boating, whatever it is, in various sizes. So, yeah, there's price points and quality, and that's the difference.
I would totally agree with that because I know a few people that have over the years have like instant turf and stuff in their backyards, and I've obviously walked on it and stuff. And then when I got my first Muk Mat, I was just like, oh, this is so luscious. It's so soft. I was like finding myself. I'd make a cup of tea because we have it as a big sort of step at the bottom of the side of our Sprinter before we get in. But we'd get up in the morning and make a coffee, and then I'd kick my shoes off and I'd just be like standing on the Muk Mat, rubbing my feet in the Muk Mat first thing in the morning while I drink my coffee, because it just feels so nice on your feet. And it's definitely, I think you're right, when people think about instant turf, it isn't necessarily what people would think about with instant turf. Like, I've not ever stood on instant turf like this.
Well, I think I'm guilty of when I first saw Muk Mat of thinking it looks like turf. I could get it from the hardware shop, and I've not actually used one, but seen them in the shop, and once you see, hold, feel and touch the turf, you can see why it's different than just a patch of like cheap plasticky turf from a hardware shop. So
I'm interested to know sort of obviously when people start a small business, there's potential, and I mean, you would probably classify Muk Mat as a small business maybe, but I don't know if I would anymore, just because you guys seem to be everywhere now, which is so great. Was there a point once you decided to sort of set up your online shop, or you started making them commercially, was there a point where you were like, actually, this is going to be something big? And do you remember that time?
Yes, I do. There's probably time A and then time B. So I would say we've been selling online for about 18 months, and the way I explain it, Muk Mat it's like a ripple effect, and the more that are out there, the more sell. So, and you guys are well aware that people who love the outdoors, camping, adventure, they share what they find really useful, whether it be, travel here, use this. And I could just see, the more that are out there, people would get in touch saying, my friend had this, or I saw this. So that was certainly a point where I realised, well, that's my selling model. But then the real kicker was the start of 2020 when COVID struck and everyone was restricted, beyond some of the lockdown period, to domestic travel and caravan sales. Everyone was camping, everyone was road tripping. So Muk Mat was on a steady climb, and then it just went boom about mid-2020. It went nuts.
Yeah, right.
Oh, cool.
It's all a blur for about a year after that.
And I want to sort of jump ahead of some of the questions I've got written here, because it's a really good segue into your Muk Mates, because I know that you've got like Trip in a Van, for example. Is it Trip in a Van?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Trip in a Van.
Yep.
They've been repping your mats for ages, and you do have your Muk Mates program, or Muk Mates program, I should say. How important do you think social media is in this day and age with growing a small business?
Well, as I said, I can only speak from the industry I'm in, but it's been critical for me. But yeah, back to my prior comment that I find working in a community of people who just love life. So they love travel, they love nature, and it's a real close community. So yeah, that to have ambassadors out there that proactively get in touch and say, like you said before, Lauren, they love it so much they feel compelled to spread the word as well. So that's been, another overwhelming part of the business. People, get in touch just to say, thank you so much for the product you've created. It's, I've got 3 kids and it's changed the whole camping experience. So, that's where I get so much joy as well, that people want to share it. So, for social media and word of mouth, really, really, really integral for Muk Mat.
Yeah, for sure.
With you finished with social, with manufacturing, do you in early days you made them yourself, and how's it different from when you started to how you manufacture nowadays with the volume that you need to produce?
So we back to the origin story. I found it took about 4 or 5 months to find someone on the Gold Coast that had the equipment and the capacity to make the Muk Mats, and they have scaled with us. So when they were doing a number of different products for various companies, over a period of about 18 months, our manufacturer became exclusive just to Muk Mat. So, and that required buying more machinery, obviously putting on a lot more staff. There were some stressful periods because we were scaling quickly and, to keep up production. Back in the early days as well, we were packing shipping from home as well. So each night my husband and I, and we'd get the kids on board, we'd be rolling, packing, and then I'd have a car full, sometimes 2 car fulls, dropping it at the local post office. And it was pretty crazy. So, 2 big changes, certainly when our manufacturer just were exclusively Muk Mats, and then we also use a local 3PL pack and ship company now that helps with all the distribution. I guess like any small business, you have to be careful when you're scaling up that you do it within your capacity, because you can grow too quick. And then, so that was another part when the business, I'd always intended it to be direct to consumer, so no wholesale. But like you were saying with Snowy's, we've got a lot of interest for wanting to stock Muk Mats, and also for our customers when they're on the road. Often they like a store to drop into, or, be able to order it not just from the Gold Coast. So that's when we had to, be careful with how many stockers we took on as well. So that was kind of a drip feed to make sure we could keep up with demand. Because the worst thing you want to do is, get into all these stores and then we can't provide stock.
Yeah, of course. So sort of as a lean off for that, I think over I'd say last couple of years, or sort of progressively historically, a lot of Australian companies have needed to move offshore for their manufacturing. Is that ever a sort of consideration for you in terms of your business and finding that balance between keeping Australian made and being able to keep your company viable?
Yeah, definitely. It's an ongoing conundrum, I'll say. I truly believe that a lot of the success with Muk Mat has been the fact that we manufacture in Australia.
Yeah.
So there was a time there when I was worried about keeping up with demand, whether we would have to look at a second supply chain to keep up with the volume. But as a manufacturer, adjusted and made a lot of changes to keep up with the supply there. So at this stage, I would never rule it out, and I think that time will come. We're getting a lot of interest internationally as well, and to produce and ship directly from Australia, that's where, it's going to get increasingly costly and logistically difficult. So I'll never say never, but at this stage, we're keeping up with supply. I love the fact that I can literally drive 5 minutes down the road to the warehouse, and so you're there to keep an eye on quality control.
Yeah, for sure.
Any product changes, and all through that COVID period when so many companies were having issues with stock that was, held up for 6 months in a shipping container.
Yeah,
it was great to keep them pumping out.
Yeah,
and
there is a lot of benefit to it, isn't it? Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How do you deal with? Hopefully I'm not correctly at your end, but how do you deal with I haven't seen any, but rip-offs of your mats, people trying to do the same thing? Is that a big issue for you?
the way I focus on that is I just stick in my own lane and keep doing what I do well. And it was only a matter of time before it was going to happen. But, again, the loyalty we have with Muk Mat, I've had a lot of customers get in touch and say, have you seen this? They've ripped you off. They're doing exactly the same. They've used your story. And,
all right.
And having that loyalty where customers just say, we're sticking to Muk Mat. You guys have the quality. You're the original. To answer that question, I can't control what copycats do. I can just focus on our business and keep providing the customer service and the quality product.
Yeah.
It's a healthy outlook.
I think, healthy outlook. And I think that's probably pretty fair to say because, obviously as a retailer, there's going to be a whole range of different options available out there from a range of different suppliers who, are happy to offer you products to have in your shop. And I think that from my perspective, because I'm happy to say on the podcast outright for probably 18 months to 2 years, I've been trying to champion Muk Mat to be in our store because I think they're so great. And my perspective from that has always been that you guys have been around for 5 years and you've obviously worked very hard on your brand culture ultimately, and especially through your partnership with people in social media and out in the world and things like that. And that when push comes to shove, people want to buy Muk Mat because they don't just want to buy your product. They want to buy your story and they want to buy your brand and they want to buy being a piece of that community and that culture. And I think that's something that realistically you can't replicate, like you say. And I think that when we did finally get Muk Mat in store, I reckon we sold like about 160, 170 units in a matter of weeks. So it's very much, I think that's very much still people's attitudes towards it, I would say personally.
Yeah, it made me stand up and look because I'll admit I didn't know much about it beforehand.
You were a bit of a poo-pooer, weren't you? A bit of a naysayer.
I wasn't going to use those words, but I didn't know. I hadn't used them, but like I said before, once you've actually seen it, for everyone out there who's saying it's just a patch of grass, go and have a look at a Muk Mat and feel the turf and then add in the fact that it's finished off and sort of custom made for your caravan step or various sizes, and then make a judgment on it because they're a step up in quality over the turf that you just get off a roll at your local bunnos.
For sure. So do you are you still aware of any of your OG mats sort of 5 years old still running around doing a perfectly good job?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're sort of like a bit of a forever product, aren't they? Because I know someone sort of flagged, what's the lifespan or how long will they last? And I think you could probably say potentially longer than you. Couldn't you really?
Oh, you could, absolutely. I always answer that question. It comes down to how often you use it as well. People who there's a lot of people who buy them for camping, for example, or hiking, beaching. They love it so much they get one for the home, and they've got one at every door. So I'm just looking there. There's one out the front of our sliding door there. So if you're using it, 15, 20 times a day, obviously that's going to wear out quicker than the one you use 3 times a year camping. But as I said, their qualities are unlike the cheaper turf, they don't fray or you don't get bits of the grass blades falling out everywhere. So the only thing I would say is just if they're starting to look a bit flattened, we just recommend you pop it in the warm sun for about 5 minutes and it just softens the blades and you give them a bit of a fluff up and a shake and it just brings it to life again.
That's a hot tip, actually. Yeah.
So is it really just like it is just a high quality turf that or commercial turf that is used in large sort of format fake grass space as well? Is that literally what it
correct.
is?
So without getting technical, the quality comes from the shape of the grass blade, the density of the number of blades and how they're bound to the backing as well.
Yep.
So we have the easiest way is just to say it's a double backing, so it holds the blades in there. So if it's a thin backing, you can imagine it's like a rug that sheds,
Yep.
Yeah.
after a while, the fibers come out. And we use 40 mil blades, so that gives that flush, puffy, soft look.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You were at some stage in the past doing customs. Do you think you would have them return in the future?
We hope to, Lauren. So that customs are popular, as you can imagine, but back to scaling up, it just got to a point where we were flat out keeping up with our online orders and our stockists. The customs can take up to 3 to 4 times longer than a normal size mat because they're measured, they're hand cut. So to answer that, yes, we'll introduce probably bulk customs as our next phase. So when we're getting, because I take note of all the requests we get for custom sizes. So if we start to get a request that fits within, I'll say for a step mat for a caravan, for example, and there's various sizes, but when we start to see a pattern, then we'll look at releasing, a run of that particular size.
Yeah, like a custom mat for the step out cut of a Mercedes Sprinter van, for example.
Geez. Lauren owns a Sprinter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that how your range progression sort of goes? Like you base it on demand, or have you got other ideas for new products, or are you literally just trying to make sure you can deliver the demand that you've got at the moment?
Yeah, new products. Everything we've introduced from our very first size original mat has come from customer feedback and requests. So the sizes have just evolved from there. And more recently, the storage bag that we've introduced, that's been by customer demand. So yeah, the options are endless, really. And the other very, very popular product is, you'll see we started off with the green turf and we now do grey. And again, that was, we get so many questions around it. Will you ever do different colour turfs? So yeah, we released the grey in March. We did a soft launch the year before last, and we sold out in 24 hours. So that was nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to settling on grey as a colour. Was grey something that people were actually asking for, or did you guys sort of just take a gamble of a neutral colour?
I'd say both, but probably more of a gamble. So the requests we were getting were for people who wanted it to match the decor of their caravans, and at home as well. So the black just looked too stark and uninteresting.
Yeah.
And a brownie beige just doesn't match with as many interiors of the caravan, and because a lot is now the steely greys, light greys. So it was, narrowing it down to requests, but also what we thought was going to be more appealing to the majority.
I assume you're bound by the colours that are available from the turf manufacturer. Like I don't imagine they would do it in pink, for example.
No, well, they potentially could, but it's a supply and demand thing. So the grey turf is obviously nowhere near as commercially popular as the green. So when we purchased the turf, it's much more expensive than the green because they're not producing as much. So pink would probably be too expensive because no one's going to use it.
Not that I want a pink mat.
They would probably have to custom manufacture pink turf to begin with, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'm interested, what's the most creative way you've seen one of your mats be used?
The one that just popped into my mind then, we've got a really cool family that are travelling. It's mum and dad with 3 kids, and they've done a few videos for us. They're called the Dowski 5, and they used it as a timeout mat when one of their kids had been mucking up. So you've got this cute photo of the child sitting there grumpy, stuck on the mat for hadn't seen that before.
That's pretty
That's
funny,
awesome.
actually. Yeah, when you're travelling, what are you going to do? You can't make them sit in a corner somewhere or have time and naughty muck mat. That's so good.
That might be your next product, the timeout mat.
Time out, Matt, maybe.
That one can be black.
And the other thing that's really creative, but the number of people that send me photos of their pets on the Muk Mat, because I don't know if it's the look or the feel of it, but pets just gravitate towards them all the time. So we've just got thousands of the cutest shots of dogs and sometimes cats. Occasionally you'll get a shot of where people are camping and maybe the ducks are sitting on them, or I've had a horse try and eat it thinking it's real grass.
That's actually pretty funny. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably almost about done here, Suze. I think we've done pretty well with some of our tech issues and connection issues that we've got going on here. Is there anything exciting that you have planned in the Muk Mat future that you wanted to share?
Well, we've got looking into 2023. As I said, we're definitely scaling, so we are able to focus on more of the custom sizes. And yeah, there's a couple of I won't let the cat out of the bag yet, but there's a couple of different sizes that are in the mix there, and potentially introducing another colour of turf that's not pink.
Oh, interesting. Another
Exciting.
colour. That sounds pretty. That does actually sound pretty exciting.
Keep an eye out.
Looking forward to seeing that as well. Thank you so much for your time, Suze.
Yeah, thank you. That was a cool chat.
Really appreciate you sticking with us through this. So I hope you have a really awesome rest of your week and that your weather stays relatively sunny.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I just want to say thanks to Snowies for all your support. And as you mentioned, Lauren, to just our audience, that, you know, I can't tell you how much it means, the support and loyalty we've had for Muk Mat and the love as well. And as I said initially, it's the customer feedback that just makes this business so rewarding. So thanks to you guys and everyone who supports us.
Awesome.
We're glad to be part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Finally, for sure. Thanks, Suze.
Thanks, Suze. Have a great day.
Thank you for your time. Bye.
I think we got through that all right. We had a delay and some crackly lines.
Crackly lines and a bit of a delay in tech issues, but I really enjoyed that interview with Muk Mat.
Cool.
And if you're local to one of our stores and you want to come in and run your fingers or your feet through some of our display Muk Mats, please do it because they're totally lush.
Yeah, and do that before you make a judgment on like it's just a piece of turf, because I'm guilty of that. But you feel the Muk Mat and there is a difference, and if you wouldn't get the same from just a piece of turf.
You absolutely
They're really
wouldn't.
nice. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us again, folks, and we will see you next week.
Have a good week.
Catch you later.
See ya.